The most dangerous advice ever attributed to the historical Jesus is also the most popular. Just follow your heart. It's the ultimate modern mantra. It's on every Pinterest board and in every graduation speech. We've turned Jesus into a first-century life coach who just wants us to lean into our own desires. But if you actually look at the wilderness strategy he employed, you find the exact opposite. Jesus never told anyone to follow their heart. In fact, he taught that the heart is where the leaks are. In his worldview, the human heart isn't a compass, it's a conflict zone. It's the place where ego, impulse, and the noise live. To him, the wilderness wasn't something you found inside yourself. It was a place you were led into so you could finally stop listening to your own internal loop. He didn't say follow your heart, he said follow me. One is an internal circle that leads back to your own biases. The other is an external objective that demands you leave your old map behind. By telling people to follow their hearts, we aren't offering them freedom, we're offering them a path to stay lost. Number 2 is a quote that 80% of people believe is in the Bible, but it actually comes from an 18th century English political theorist. God helps those who help themselves. This is the pull yourself up by your bootstraps version of spirituality. It's a favorite for the self-made, the grind set influencers, and the people who think success is purely a matter of will. But Jesus' actual message was a direct strike against this. His strategy was focused on the poor in spirit, the people who realized they couldn't help themselves. He didn't show up for the people who had it all figured out. He showed up for the people whose systems had completely failed. When we say God helps those who help themselves, we're really saying you're on your own until you're successful enough to be noticed. It's a philosophy of merit, not a philosophy of grace. Jesus didn't call the self-sufficient, he called the ones willing to admit they were stuck in the mud. He wasn't looking for partners, he was looking for people who were ready to be rescued. Number 3 is the ultimate conversation stopper. You've seen it on tattoos, bumper stickers, and in the comment sections of every controversial post. Only God can judge me. In our modern wilderness, this has become a defensive shield. Usually, when someone says this, they aren't actually looking for divine evaluation. They're looking for a free pass to do whatever they want without the inconvenience of being held accountable by their peers. They've turned Jesus into a firewall against the community, but the historical Jesus never offered this kind of isolation. In fact, his teaching on judgment, found in the famous Judge Not passage, is one of the most misunderstood psychological lessons in history. He wasn't advocating for moral anarchy where anything goes. He was advocating for surgical precision. His famous analogy was about the plank and the speck. He didn't say to ignore the speck in your neighbor's eye. He said to fix your own vision first so you could actually see well enough to help them. If you follow the logic of the wilderness strategy, you realize that being judged by your peers is a safety mechanism. It's the plumbing check of the soul. By claiming only God can judge me, you are making a terrifying trade. You are rejecting the gentle, corrective hand of a friend for the absolute, unfiltered, and terrifyingly pure justice of a creator. It's not a badge of freedom, it's a declaration of exile. Number 4 is perhaps the most subtle deception. I just want you to be happy. This is the Disneyfication of the gospel. We live in a culture that treats unhappiness like a disease and comfort like a cure. We've projected this onto Jesus, imagining him as someone whose primary goal is to make sure we have a stress-free life, a great career, and a perfect internal vibe. But if you look at the call to the wilderness, happiness is almost never the objective. Jesus didn't promise happiness, he promised wholeness. And the path to wholeness often requires the death of happiness. Think about it, every major growth moment in your life likely came from a period of intense discomfort, sacrifice, or pain. Jesus spoke about taking up a cross. That isn't the language of a man who wants you to be comfortable. A cross isn't a piece of jewelry, it's an execution tool. His strategy was about blessedness, a state of being that is grounded in something far deeper than the shifting winds of your daily mood. Happiness is a leak. It's temporary. It's dependent on external pipes. Blessedness is the well itself. If you spend your life waiting for Jesus to make you happy, you'll miss the fact that he's trying to make you dangerous to the status quo. And finally, number 5, the phrase whispered at funerals and during tragedies, everything happens for a reason. We say this because we are terrified of chaos. We want to believe that every car accident, every terminal diagnosis, and every betrayal is a piece of a neat, pre-planned puzzle. We want a Jesus who is a master puppeteer, but Jesus wept at the tomb of his friend Lazarus. He didn't stand there and give a lecture on the divine plan. He experienced the raw, broken, not supposed to be this way reality of a fallen world. The wilderness strategy isn't about finding a reason for the pain, it's about finding a response to it. Jesus taught that we live in a world where an enemy has sowed weeds among the wheat. He acknowledged that some things happen simply because the world is broken and people have free will and gravity works. By saying everything happens for a reason, we accidentally blame God for things he actually hates. We turn the creator into the author of the very things he came to destroy. Jesus didn't come to explain the darkness, he came to be the light in it. He didn't offer a map that explained why the wilderness exists. He offered to be the guide who walks through it with you. Recognizing this shift is the first step in true maturity. It moves you from a passive victim of fate to an active participant in the wilderness strategy. And if you want to understand how that strategy actually works, how to navigate the unknown when the old maps fail, you need to understand the fundamental shift in perspective that we discuss in our next video. Because the truth is, once you stop listening to what you think Jesus said, you're forced to confront what he actually did. And what he did was lead people into the wilderness. Click here to see how that strategy changes everything.